Okay, I want you to picture a scenario. And I'd bet money that this happened to, what, half the people listening this morning even.
Oh, for sure.
It's 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
The alarm goes off. You hit snooze maybe once, maybe twice if you're really pushing it. You finally roll out of bed. Coffee's not on yet. Your brain is just, it's a total fog.
Yep. I know that feeling.
And you're standing in front of your closet. It's the morning rush.
Right.
You have like 10 minutes to get out the door. So be honest. What goes through your head?
Right.
Do you just grab the first clean shirt you see just to get it over with?
Yeah.
Or do you reach for the sweatpants because, they're comfortable and safe? Or is there an actual strategy?
It's a scenario that plays out in millions of homes every single morning. It's that battle between the path of least resistance and the path of intention.
Exactly.
And most people, they just don't realize that this one tiny, groggy decision, it sets the entire trajectory for the next 12 hours.
That is exactly what we are digging into today. And I know what you're thinking. It's just a shirt. Who cares? But that is the assumption we are here to challenge. We're looking at a fascinating set of materials today from the BKLEO universe, specifically a manifesto and a transcript from their podcast episode, Start Your Day Like a Leader. And the central question here is pretty radical, actually.
It is.
It's not about style. It's this. Can the decision of what you wear actually change your brain chemistry? Can a piece of clothing make you a better leader?
It sounds like total marketing hyperbole when you first hear it, doesn't it? Change your brain chemistry. But the source material we're looking at today argues this is not about fashion or vanity or even looking professional for your boss. It's about psychology.
Right. We're unpacking a concept that, I'll be honest, I hadn't spent much time on before reading this source. Enclothed cognition.
Enclothed cognition.
Yeah, it sounds fairly academic, like something you'd need a PhD to discuss. But the application is, well, it's incredibly practical.
It does sound academic, but the concept is actually quite intuitive once you strip away the jargon. Enclothed cognition is essentially, well, it's the systematic influence that clothes have on the wearer's psychological processes.
So usually when we talk about dressing for success, we're talking about signaling to other people, I wear a suit so you think I'm professional.
Right, it's external.
I wear a uniform so you know I'm a cop or a doctor.
Yeah.
But this concept, it just flips that completely around.
Precisely. The BKLEO text argues that the most important audience for your outfit is actually you. It's an internal feedback loop. The source explicitly claims that clothes don't just affect how others perceive you, they fundamentally shift how you perceive yourself.
The text uses some really strong language there. It says it can literally change your brain chemistry.
Right.
Now, I have to ask you, is that metaphorical, or are they claiming a real physiological change here?
Well, when they talk about changing brain chemistry, they're really referring to the dopamine and serotonin loops that are associated with confidence and identity. The source breaks down the impact into 3 specific areas.
Okay.
Confidence, cognitive performance, and then perception.
Okay, I think we all get the confidence part, look good, feel good, and we get perception, how other people see us.
Yeah.
But that middle one, cognitive performance, that is the wild card for me.
Right.
That implies I might actually work smarter or solve problems faster depending on what's on my torso.
That's the implication, yes. I mean, think about it in terms of focus. If you're wearing something that you associate with slacking off.
My Sunday afternoon gym shorts.
Exactly. Your brain stays in rest mode. It signals to your subconscious that demand is low. But if you wear something that you strongly associate with power or focus or resilience, you trigger those states.
The text mentions an immediate shift in energy. It says, you stand taller, you speak better, you take bolder action.
We've all felt a micro version of this, right? You put on a jacket that fits perfectly or a pair of boots that make you feel grounded, and suddenly you're walking differently. You're not shuffling, you're striding. The BKLEO philosophy is about taking that accidental feeling and making it a deliberate daily practice.
It's weaponizing that feeling.
Exactly. The source material frames clothing not as fabric and thread, but as armor. It's saying that getting dressed is a tool for mindset alignment.
And that brings us to the core philosophy behind this brand, BKLEO. Because looking at the manifesto, they make it very clear they're not trying to be a typical fashion house.
No, not at all. They're not trying to get on the runway in Paris.
No, they're adamant about it. They explicitly state that the BKLEO way is not about trends, and it is not about price tags, it's about values. They list 3 pillars, the 3 I's.
Right. Intention, identity, and impact.
Let's break those down because they really seem to be the formula for this armor concept. Let's start with intention.
Intention is the antidote to that autopilot morning we started with. The source defines a true leader not just by what they do in the office or on the field, but by how they start their day. It says leaders step into their mindset before they even leave the house.
I love that phrase, step into their mindset. It treats mindset like a physical space or a uniform that you can enter. It makes it an active choice rather than just a mood that happens to you.
It reframes getting dressed from a chore, something you have to do so you aren't naked, into a strategic leadership decision.
Yeah.
Their motto really sums this all up.
Which is?
Wear your mindset, dress your mission.
Dress your mission.
Yeah.
That is heavy. It suggests that before you walk out the door, you need to know what your mission for the day actually is. You can't just be winging it.
And that's the crux of their argument against fast fashion, or just grabbing whatever's clean. If you grab a random, wrinkly shirt, you are starting your day with a random intention. You are letting the day happen to you. But if you grab a specific piece of impact gear, as they call it, you're setting a specific trajectory for the next 12 hours.
So let's get specific here, because it's easy to talk about intention in the abstract. But what does this actually look like in, cotton and polyester?
Yeah, let's do it.
The source outlines some of their specific designs, and I have to say, they aren't subtle. These are bold statements.
Very bold. And I think it's worth walking through these because they illustrate exactly how this armor concept works. These aren't just logos. They are essentially visual mantras.
The first one that jumped out at me was the T that says, "Fearless to the bone, nothing breaks me." I mean, that's aggressive. That's not something you wear to a casual brunch if you're feeling shy.
No, that is a pure resilience mantra. Think about the psychology of the person wearing that. Maybe they're going into a high-stakes negotiation, or they're dealing with a personal crisis or a health scare.
Right.
Wearing that on your chest is a constant reminder to yourself. Every time you catch your reflection in a window or a mirror, you're reminded, nothing breaks me.
It's like a shield. It's psychological armor against despair.
Precisely. It creates a boundary between you and the chaos of the world.
Then there's this one which I found really poetic. "From dust, I rise reborn with purpose."
That's a fascinating narrative to wear, isn't it? It's the phoenix archetype. It explicitly acknowledges failure. From dust implies you've been crushed or you've hit rock bottom. You're not pretending life is perfect.
Right.
But I rise, that changes the story from a tragedy to a comeback story.
That's so powerful because it doesn't try to hide the scars. It frames the scars as the starting point for something new. It feels very grounded compared to all that, good vibes only, toxic positivity we see everywhere.
It connects directly to that identity pillar we mentioned. You're identifying yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as someone who rises. You are wearing your recovery.
Okay, here's a punchy one. Just 2 words. Why not?
Simple,
But
deceptively effective.
Yeah.
That's a direct challenge to the status quo. The source suggests this is the perfect T for when you're stepping into a big decision. It's for the person who is hesitating, maybe afraid to take the leap, and they look down and see, why not?
It pushes them to take the risk. It's like having a little coach on your shoulder or, on your chest, telling you to go for it.
It prompts action. It interrupts that hesitation loop in your brain.
Then we have one that clearly targets the hustle culture crowd. Genius mind, gangster grind.
This one is interesting because it balances two different energies. It acknowledges the intellectual side, the genius mind, the strategy, the vision, but then it validates the work ethic, the gangster grind.
It sounds a bit contradictory at first, but I see what you mean. It's saying you need both.
Exactly. It validates the complete package of the entrepreneur. You can be smart, but you also have to be willing to get your hands dirty. It tells the wearer you have the brains, but you also have the grit.
And speaking of the long game of entrepreneurship, there's building empire, one dream at a time.
That one speaks to patience. Empire building is not a viral moment. It's not an overnight success. One dream at a time reminds the wearer that it is a long road, a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
It's designed to combat that feeling of, why isn't this happening faster?
And finally, the one that feels like the ultimate affirmation. Man on a mission. Legend to be made.
That's explicitly forward-looking. The source makes a really insightful observation about all these designs. They reflect where you're headed, not just where you've been.
Legend to be made. That to be made part is key. It implies the work isn't done yet.
Exactly. It's aspirational armor. You might not feel like a legend today. You might feel like a mess. You might be struggling to pay rent. But you wear the shirt to remind yourself of the potential you're stepping into. You're dressing for the future version of yourself.
Now, you might be listening to this and thinking, okay, cool slogans, sounds nice on paper, but does it actually work? Or is it just clever marketing to sell t-shirts?
A valid question.
But the source material provides some pretty heavy social proof here. This isn't just a few people.
No, the scale is impressive. They mention a global community of over 12,000 people. They call them the BK Elio tribe.
12,000 people. I mean,
Right.
that creates a lot of data points. And the satisfaction metrics are there too. A 4.8-star average review and a 91% recommendation rate. That tells me people aren't just buying this gear, wearing it once, and then tossing it in the back of the drawer.
It suggests a really high level of emotional buy-in. People aren't just buying the fabric, they are connecting with the message. They're using the tool.
The source actually shares some specific testimonials that I think bring this whole thing down to earth. Because it's one thing to talk about brain chemistry, but it's another to hear how it feels on a Tuesday morning when you're doubting yourself.
Right. Who are the people actually using this?
First, there's Mariah, an entrepreneur. She says, every time I wear my BK Leo hoodie, I feel like I'm stepping into my CEO energy.
CEO energy. That perfectly illustrates the enclosed cognition concept. She might be working from her kitchen table, maybe there are kids running around, laundry's piling up.
Right.
But the hoodie acts as the uniform that signals to her brain, I am the CEO now. It creates a boundary between home Mariah and work Mariah.
Then there's Sean, a youth mentor. His quote really resonated with me because it felt so vulnerable. He says, my BK LEO gear reminds me that I'm a leader, even when I don't feel like one.
That is the most powerful application of this, in my opinion. We all have imposter syndrome. We all have days where we feel small or incapable or like a fraud who's about to be found out.
Oh, yeah.
Sean is using the clothing as an external anchor to pull him out of that feeling.
It's like he's outsourcing his confidence to the shirt until his own confidence can kick back in.
Yes, he is borrowing belief. The shirt says leader, so he has to act like one, even if he feels shaky inside. It bridges the gap between how he feels and how he needs to perform.
And then there's Devin, a speaker and a coach who explicitly uses the term we've been talking about. He calls the clothing armor for my purpose.
When you have people using language like armor and movement and tribe, you're seeing something that goes beyond traditional brand loyalty. The source argues that these users are wearing their scars and stories. It creates a sense of shared identity.
It's interesting because fashion can often feel very exclusionary, like you aren't cool enough to wear this. But this feels different. The source describes the tribe as a mix of people leading with vision, values, and voice. It feels very inclusive of anyone who's trying to better themselves.
It is inclusive, but I would argue it's also demanding. It demands that you have a purpose. It demands that you are trying to lead. It's not for the passive observer.
So bringing it all back to where we started, that morning rush. The source material is essentially a plea to just stop the autopilot.
Yes, it urges against rolling out of bed without a plan. The argument is that a lack of planning leads to a lack of purpose. If you start the day reactive, you stay reactive.
They frame the morning routine as setting the tone for three specific things: mindset, mission, and morning. The 3 M's.
And notice the order. Mindset comes first. You get your head right. Then mission, you figure out what you're doing. And that creates the morning. Most of us do it backward.
How so?
We let the chaos of the morning dictate our mindset, and then we lose the mission entirely.
If you get the mindset wrong, the mission is unclear, and the morning it falls apart.
Exactly. The BKLEO approach flips it. You fix the mindset first, often by choosing the clothing that anchors it. And that clarity allows you to define the mission.
And they tie this back to leadership with a call to action that I found pretty inspiring. They say, leaders don't follow trends, they set them.
And in this context, they're not talking about setting fashion trends. They're not talking about being an influencer on Instagram.
No, not at all.
They're talking about setting the trend for your own life. The act of choosing this specific impact gear, as they call it, is the first act of leadership of the day. You are leading yourself.
That's a crucial distinction, leading yourself. Before you can lead a team or a family or a company, you have to lead yourself out of the bedroom and into the day.
Precisely. You're deciding who you're going to be today. Are you the person who grabbed the wrinkly shirt off the floor because you were late? Or are you the person who put on fearless to the bone because you know you have a challenge to face?
It transforms the closet from just a storage space into almost like an armory, a place where you equip yourself for the battle of the day.
That is the core takeaway here. Clothing is a tool. We often think of tools as, hammers or laptops or software. We spend hours optimizing our productivity apps.
Mm-hmm.
But if enclothed cognition is real, and this source contends it is, then your shirt is a tool for cognitive change. It touches your skin all day long. Why wouldn't you use it?
It's transforming from the outside in. We usually think change has to start deep inside, but sometimes changing the outside helps the inside catch up.
It accelerates the process. It's a physical manifestation of an internal desire.
The source signs off with a very punchy directive: lead with power, dress with purpose.
It's a simple instruction, but if you actually follow it, if you actually stop and ask yourself, what is the purpose of this outfit? It changes everything about your daily routine.
It really makes you rethink that pile of laundry in the corner, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes you realize that every choice is an opportunity to reinforce your identity.
It certainly does. And it removes the excuse of waiting until you feel ready. You don't have to feel ready. You can dress ready, and the feeling will follow.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the BKLEO philosophy and the science of wearing your mission, I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought to carry into your next morning routine.
It's an extension of the armor concept we've been discussing, a little thought experiment.
Right. We talked about slogans like fearless and legend to be made. But let's make it personal. If you had to put a slogan on your chest today, right now, that described exactly where you're heading, not where you've been, not your failures, but where you are going, what would it say?
That's the question, because once you know what it says, you can start dressing like it.
And once you dress like it, you might just start believing it. Thanks for diving in with us. Catch you on the next one.